This has been awesome, guys. I'll just throw that little personal note in there. I really enjoyed recording all these sessions with you both. So Sparrow, Frank, thank you, guys. Two songs left.
Thank you.
Again, featherandfurmusic.com. Sparrow Wren, Frank Murray. Album release coming up February 13th and 14th with 2 full band shows at Music Millennium and the Blue Diamond. They're on all the social media platforms, so please get out there, listen to the music, support them. And this incredible team that they have it sounds like you guys were lucky enough to be surrounded by a bunch of amazing musicians and engineers, and you had a lot of help, and everything came together. This is awesome. The next song, How Did I End Up With You? Sounds like this was an idea that Frank had. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this one, I know this little melody thing was just haunting me all day one day and at the gym, everywhere I went. And so I went home, grabbed a guitar, and just started banging out. And it's kind of based on kind of droned open strings and a quick, I just felt this, I was trying to think of something up-tempo for our mix of songs, and just something a little different, and this kind of it's almost kind of a train beat type of
got it.
Just anyway, that just kind of kept going, and all of a sudden I had a chord progression, a little melody idea, and then as far as the melody, it was like that hook. How did I end up with you? I don't know why those words just kept coming out in my brain, and so we created the song, based. I brought that to Sparrow and said, okay, we gotta come up with something to go with this somehow, and my concept of it, was kind of, more of a, happy song, and it was, kind of, and it started kind of going another direction, and then
It always does with me.
so I think we compromised, and it.
Well, yeah, this one, like Frank had such a strong idea on this one that, that really it was, me taking direction from him about where he wanted this to go and what he wanted it to be about. And that was really, really hard. Like, he had such a strong idea, and the song was so fully formed already in his head that trying to figure out, like,
What's going on in my head?
Like right down to the length of the words. He's like, okay, I don't want a lot of words, but I want the words stretched out, and not, I want this many syllables, and like this was tough.
Okay, so
it just for me vocally, if there's too many words, it's a little harder for me. So when singing a melody, if I can stretch the syllables out, make it smoother, and certain consonants and vowels, I think I sing better or worse than others.
Okay.
And so I try to work, if I have a choice, I try to work with that.
Yeah, because there is a thing for singing. If you actually are being trained or something, I know like certain vowels, there's a way to speak them, and there's a way to sing them, and they're completely different, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that some of them you're better at than others, or?
Yeah, well, with my voice, some just sound better than others, and so I try to be aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't always work.
Did you both sing on this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Primarily Frank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like she sings the harmonies in the chorus.
Oh, but you're the main singer on this one.
Yeah.
You let him have a song.
Well,
I'm kidding.
he has
I'm
more
kidding.
than one.
I'm kidding.
Actually, it's a pretty even divide. So
Yeah.
we've got 2 that are duets, and we've got 2, and including one of my very favorite songs that have Frank as the lead, and then some that are
That's
are
awesome.
me. So yeah, we divided things up pretty pretty well.
It just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah.
So about a dog or a relationship with a pet, but not. What does that
Explain
mean?
that, Frank, because I had a hard time absorbing that.
All right. Well, so the premise is just, people have like whatever their pet is, and sometimes it's a love-hate relationship. It's
Yes.
like, I love you, but God, you drive me crazy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so how did I end up with you? I'm not sure. Yeah.
There are moments you have where you're looking at your dog or your cat, like when your cat has just shredded your curtains or something.
Yeah,
Like you're like,
exactly.
how did I end up with you?
Or ate your $4,000 leather couch.
It occurred to me at some point that this might have been a song about us. Like Frank saying, like, how did I end up with you?
Oh my God,
As a writing partner.
that is funny, but I doubt that's it. So you already had, well, you had the idea of the line, how did I end up with you, that for some reason was inspired, but because you had the melody and the chord progressions.
Yeah, just those words, I mean, this goes to any songwriter. I mean, the Beatles are, my all-time idols. They're place filler lyrics.
Yeah.
And, you read stories about some famous songs, what their place filler lyrics were.
Oh, yeah.
And at first I thought that was just my place filler lyric, but it just kind of kept going.
Your scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Then it must have went, well, I don't know. Did you fit it in the 2-week window that you were trying to? Was it pretty, because it sounds like you had most of what you wanted there.
That one came together pretty quickly, I think. Yeah, we just, that was getting close to when we were getting ready to record.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
was
it
this one
kinda
of the-
down to the wire?
This was one of the last 1 or 2 songs that you came up with on
Yeah.
this? Oh.
Yeah. In fact, as far as our we had little prep packages for each song. It was pretty organized. We did try to dot our I's, cross our T's, and all that kind of stuff. And this one, we're just getting the lyrics done, and so that was just fine tuning that aspect, and really. Even the bridge came together at the last minute, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
And,
Really?
yeah, which is a pretty cool bridge, I think. It just kind of has a,
So when this moment happened to you, you said you think you maybe were at the gym with the music and the words. This concept idea came to you while you were in the process of working with Sparrow. This wasn't something you'd had in your...
No. I mean, that most of the ideas I have been for this project have come along as we've been working on it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't really dug into my bag of tricks because I don't know where it's at. I got all these little ideas, and every once in a while I find them, and it's a project. I will find them.
So this would have been the last or second to last track. Did you guys already have a goal as far as how many actual songs you wanted on this? Or did it just at some point feel like, okay, I think we got it?
Well, I think we had a rough goal of, maybe getting 8 songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at first we weren't planning on like, going in the studio and doing the whole thing we did. We were just planning on recording some stuff with our equipment and, feeling good about it. And then things just kind of progressed.
That might have been something we missed in the first other episodes. I don't remember this point coming up. You guys, when you first got together to collaborate, you didn't necessarily have the idea to put out a studio album.
No.
Maybe I don't think we talked about that.
Huh.
Yeah, it morphed. It was, I think, it just kind of happened after, Runaway for Riley was the one that Frank, put together.
Yeah, we actually finished one song on my iPad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that was the catalyst to go into the studio, because that one song we did talk about that.
We talked about
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it was tedious using the
Yeah,
software on the tablet or the iPad.
I painted myself in a corner with that one because
Yes.
doing 32 tracks And 30 doesn't mean 32 tracks of instrumentation. It's just little bits and pieces that I had
Right.
in a regular like Pro Tools or something. It's not as tedious. There's a lot of automation and simple ways to do stuff. But in the iPad, it's in GarageBand.
It's tedious on an
very
iPad.
and all the above. So, but yeah, and live and learn, right?
But initially, this partnership, this collaboration was, hey, let's get together and write some songs. But then after you get through a few, at some point, you guys decide, hey, let's go to the studio and put out an album. Let's do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, initially, my thinking in reaching out to Frank initially was because February of 2022, I bought myself a Valentine's gift. So it's kind of ironic that this is coming out on Valentine's
Was that
Day, right?
planned?
No, not at all.
That's
So
serendipitous.
It is extremely. So for Valentine's Day in 22, I bought myself a Tascam 12, which is an analog processor, and some KLR speakers and a couple of nice mics, condenser mics, and all of this stuff was supposed to be easy to use, and it wasn't.
I
Yeah.
I have all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
During COVID, I was like, okay, I'm doing my home studio thing,
Exactly.
and it's all great on paper, but there's a learning curve.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, for a year I just shamed myself. I was thinking like, okay, if Billie Eilish and Phineas Eilish can do this in their bedroom and come out with studio quality stuff, why can't I,
Absolutely.
right? And so after a year of, trying and failing and shaming myself for, I own this stuff and I'm not using it, reaching out to Frank, I thought, well, we'll be able to use the gear that we have and do, good quality stuff. And it didn't take long to bounce, beyond what the Tascam 12 was able to do into GarageBand.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Tascam 12 this isn't an advertisement, of course.
They're not sponsoring you.
Or they're not sponsoring me. If they were, I would, add more to it. But, it's a very powerful tool, and because you can use it actually as your controller in your computer workstation, like Pro Tools or something. So it's real knobs and things. So you're not using a mouse, and that's the learning curve. So it's very powerful. You can do a lot with it, but how we're using it. You can put an SD card in there, and it's got 10 usable tracks, and tracks 11, 12 are master bounce, so you can take all 10 and do a stereo mix into channel 11 and 12. And
Wow.
and then you can also bounce those tracks onto others, like in the old 4-track studio days, where how they used to bounce tracks so they can get more instrumentation, that type of thing. But that's not what we were doing, and it just turned out, for me, we recorded on the Tascam at first.
Okay.
And we got tracks, and we were over at Nolan's Johnson's place, and he was being our engineer with the Tascam, and so we get all those tracks and to be on the SD card, but mixing it and doing all that stuff on the actual Tascam, very cumbersome.
Okay.
So I'm going to put this in my iPad and GarageBand, because then I can visually see the WAV files and move things, cut and paste, fixed. And so that's how that all started. And it's like, okay, I can be working on the iPad and sitting on my couch and in the comfort of home. And then all of a sudden, it's 4 a.m. It's just a little too easy. But I could take a bass, and I have a little interface that plugs, into it. So I can plug a bass in. I got a portable keyboard. I can plug in that, and my little drum machines. They have onboard drum machines. So, in living room or my studio or wherever, I could do all that stuff. And then vocals, just we'd bring the iPad over there. We set up the interface, and we had Fort Feather and Fur down in the basement, with the Pipe and Drape, and that was a vocal booth / everything booth, and so we sang a lot of vocals in there and did it that way, and we were just at that point going directly into the iPad with the interface.
Okay.
And for demo purposes, they turned out pretty good. So
you were both working with this Tascam 12 for the first time? Both of you had one?
I had worked with it at home.
Uh-huh.
I got mad at it, so it was in timeout for quite a long time. And then I gave it a new,
You brought it out of the penalty box.
yeah. And, it has its use, but I have so many gadgets, and you can only spend so much time learning each one, because every one of them has their similarities, yet they're unique
Yeah.
for that specific product. And you only have so much time to do that kind of thing, and then all of a sudden you're doing that and not actually playing any music. So we just gotta pick our battles.
Right. Yeah. Because it ended up, initially we were thinking, well, we'll give each song a week to write and a week to record. And, we found out pretty quickly that the recording process, and it may have something to do with that lack of scarcity, right? Because, that stuff is like kind of limitless, right? So that recording process ended up taking so much more time than the writing process. And we were going to get bogged down in that. And then I am not techie. Frank is, much techier than I am. And so I'm not the best partner when it comes to that kind of thing. Even our iPads wouldn't communicate.
So when you mean the recording process took longer than you thought, you're just talking about recording demos, not even the actual studio time.
Yeah, right.
But that time we put into our recording process, really, it all helped.
Yes.
When we went to the studio, because we actually were organized, so we spent like a lot of time on phrasing and harmonies and that kind of stuff, which can cost you a fortune in the studio if you don't have that. So that was the kind of some of the hidden things in the recording process that we had to address.
Agree, yeah. Right. And because we're using studio musicians, right? Looking at how a lot of bands record, it's a band, that's going in and they have a label behind them, that's paying for, the studio, and all the musicians are, working together to develop things, and that wasn't our case, right? We had studio musicians, and we were paying for the studio time, so we needed to have, that was our enforced scarcity, right? A scarcity of resources, scarcity of time with the studio musicians. But Frank said really appropriately, it was like our wrecking crew. Like, they were just such high level, wonderful musicians that, between, the demos being, really fleshed out, so everybody kind of knew what direction, and the skill level that the musicians had, it moved things along much
So actually getting to the studio was a lot more efficient because you guys had put in the work before.
Yes.
You came to the studio with basically finished products. You just wanted to do it in an actual studio to get the best sound.
Yes.
Cool. Anything else on this one?
Oh, just that, this one, was in Frank's head to such a high degree that, trying to, figure out,
What's in that head?
yeah, like, what I could do that would match what was in his head was like one of the more challenging situations for me. Yeah.
It's challenging for me too.
But I bet it's very interesting to get into Frank's head. A wonderful experience, I bet.
Yeah, it's a scary place. A lot of nutshells. And,
Well, you got to keep a lot of nuts around for the squirrels.
Yeah.
So